Hi friends, welcome to the Inspired Knitting Podcast. I'm your host Bobby and I am coming to you from the beautiful Kingston, Ontario, Canada. Today is Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022. I would first like to start off by welcoming any new viewers who may be tuning in for the very first time. Welcome, and to all my returning viewers, welcome back. This is a podcast about my knitting adventures, and sometimes there's crochet and spinning and sewing sometimes, even though I haven't been doing any of those other things besides knitting. But yeah, if that's your kind of thing, then maybe this is the podcast for you. I always leave detailed show notes in the description box below. I always link directly to the patterns designer. And if you wish to check out my patterns pages on Ravelry, I'm not a very detailed person with my pattern notes or project notes, but you can find me on Ravelry as X Country Girl 1986X, and I always have all that posted below in the description as well. I am most active on Instagram as Inspired Knitting Podcast. So yeah, there you go. So okay, I am still a little bit rusty with this, guys, but I am back within 2 weeks and I'm super excited about that. I kind of got my knitting mojo back. Ever since the move, I've been having a little bit of problems with energy and stuff like that, but and I still am, but I'm definitely back into my knitting, and I'm really happy about that because yeah, knitting is my life. I love it. So yeah, today is another rainy fall day. It's actually pretty nice though. I think it's like still 8 degrees, 10 degrees, something like that. So it's still pretty decent temperature wise, but it's the perfect kind of day to have your coffee and your knitting and just watch Netflix and knit all day. That sounds like a perfect day to me. But yeah, that's going to be my kind of day. But I thought I would come on here and share what I've been working on with you all. So grab your beverage of choice. Today I just got my coffee. It's my second one, and I'm sure it's not going to be my last one. But grab your beverage of choice and we will get right into it. All right. So the past 2 weeks have been kind of quiet for me. We had a family get together this past weekend for Thanksgiving. Canada celebrated Thanksgiving like 2 weeks ago, but we just celebrated ours this past weekend with family, so that was a lot of fun. I always love going and spending time with the family and getting to play with all the little kids. I really enjoy that because I am a big kid, so I fit right in. I love the little ones, so we got to do that. I got to make some deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are like one of my favorite treats ever. It was always a family tradition in our family. Whenever you had like Easter or Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, New Year's, it didn't matter. And it doesn't have to be a special occasion, but we would always make deviled eggs. So when I heard that nobody was going to be bringing any to our function, I was like happy to volunteer, and they were delicious and they did not last long. I didn't make enough, but that's okay. But besides that, it's been pretty quiet. I've just been spending a lot of time working on some projects, and I actually got quite the pile, so I'm just gonna stop gabbing and get into it. So the first thing I got is just a little project. I've seen a lot of people on Instagram casting these on of late. This is, oh goodness, the Sophie scarf by Petit Knit. And I just did this small version, so it's like super tiny. But I just used some leftovers, and I did not weigh this to know. But I think the pattern says for the small version, you use like 25 grams of a fingering weight yarn. So I have to put this on my scale to know how much I actually used of it, but I had done a hat pattern last summer, I think, for the little tailoress Amy Loudon, and I used this yarn, and it is, oh, I hope the light's not gonna blow out. It is, oh goodness, now my mind is blanking. Lizzie Ann Yarns, there we go, Lizzie Ann Yarns, and I don't really remember what this colorway is. I think it's like Wildflowers or something like that. It's just a very beautiful white background with these purples, pinks, and green speckles. It's just very beautiful. So I just did the small version. I think the gist of it is you just put it, like, use it as a little scarf around your neck. I don't really have a neck, so I'm not using it for that purpose. Maddie from the We Share Needles podcast, she actually made one, and she said she put it on her bag, like her purse. So I thought that would be perfect. I have a little black purse, leather purse, so I just tied this onto my bag, hence the reason why it's kind of wrinkled. But I've been using it all week and I'm in love with it. It's just a nice little addition to my purse, makes it look pretty, and yeah, I just absolutely love it. So that's what I'm using mine for. The Sophie scarf does come with a larger, slightly larger version if you wanted to wrap it around your neck twice. And I'm not quite sure, but I saw this on Instagram the other day. Petit Knit might have actually come out with like a little bit larger version. So it's kind of like this shape, but it would be a larger scarf type, it's not a shawl, it's a scarf, but it's just, this pattern comes with 2 sizes, and I believe there might be a bigger one coming, I'm not sure. Check out Petit Knit, you'll get the correct information there, but I will link the Sophie scarf in the description box below. But yeah, it was just a quick little project, and I love it. It's cute. And it's a great scrap buster, or if you've got mini skeins, you love your mini skeins, it's perfect. I love it. So I'm just gonna take a sip of my coffee while it's still hot. So I didn't really mention at the start of the podcast what I was wearing. I am wearing a knit. This is store-bought. It's got a crocheted design on it. This is just store-bought. I did not make this, but I did make the sweater. This is my Brioche Hug by Cozy Knits, and I've worn it before. I completed it this spring, right? Yeah, I completed it this spring. It's absolutely beautiful. It was a test knit I did for them, and I love it. I just absolutely love it. It is DK. I used Midnight Cravings and the Wildflower colorway. And then if you look on the inside, you can see it a bit better, but I used 3. Did I use 3? No, I used 2 different colors. So you can see my lighter color up here. This is Mary, which is, it's almost a creamy background that has the specks of pink and burgundy in it. And then the second color, my lighting on this side is actually really bad. I got this patio door here, and I thought this would be a good spot to podcast, but now I'm regretting it. Oh well, we're just gonna roll with it. The darker color down here is Secret Garden, and they're all the Midnight Cravings, and it's not a DK base necessarily. I think it's their sport weight version. Their sport base, but it leans more towards a DK. It's slightly heavy for sport. So that's what I used. If you look at the Brioche Hug that Cozy Up Knits did, they actually did kind of like a stripe sequence for their contrast color. It is full brioche. They used a main color, which my main color is the wildflower. But then I think they might have used 3 or 4 contrast colors. I just chose 2 because I had ordered this yarn to make a rose cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and I decided to use my colors for the Brioche Hug instead, and I have no regrets. But yeah, so I just used a main color, and then I had 2 skeins of Mary and 2 skeins of Secret Garden. I end up using the 2 skeins of Secret Garden, and I used 1.5 of the Mary. But I really like it. You can do whatever you want. You could do just a main color and a contrast, or you could even do it all in one color. I'm kind of leaning towards doing another one, but doing it all just one color. So yeah, I don't know yet, but I absolutely love it. It is worked from the bottom up, and then you just pick up and you do some ribbing here for your sleeves, and yeah, it's perfect, and I love it so much. So yeah, and then I don't think I've ever showed this, but I got this beautiful bracelet, and I do not know if she still has them. This is Whimsy and Sassy. She was doing these beautiful friendship bracelets, and she's got different, they all come with the white cording, but they have different color beads on them. So you buy one for you and your bestie, and that's what I did. So yeah, I love it. So I'm wearing that too. So that's, the bracelet is from Whimsy and Sassy Designs. She is a maker here in Ontario. She does beautiful stitch markers and progress keepers, polymer clay ones. She is a wonderful designer, and her price point is very, very reasonable. So do go check her out. Okay, so on to the next thing. I made another blanket square. So I kind of cheated. I already had all the little patches made, and I had 2 of the borders already put on from August, and I just put my other 2 borders on this week. So I didn't do a whole square in the last 2 weeks, but I did finish a square. So I'm counting it as an FO. But yeah, most of these mini skeins are all Polka Dot Creek. She did a Easter, like a mini Easter egg set. So it was all 10 or 20 gram, I believe they were 20 gram mini skeins. So most of these, if not all, are Polka Dot Creek. I want to say that this green one is not Polka Dot Creek, but this is from August, so my memory is not going to serve me at all for this. So yeah, very beautiful. So I am doing the Stitch in Time blanket by Kay of the Bakery Bears, and it is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. So do go check it out. I'm using fingering weight, and I'm just using up my mini skeins or scraps of yarn. Mostly mini skeins though, because yeah. And then for my border, I'm doing my borders as I go, just because I really, really want this blanket. And I'm afraid that if I just do my 9 patch and then set them aside and have to do all these white borders, I might not get it done. So there is a sequence to how it's done, because your inside blocks are so many rows thick, and then your outside ones are a little bit thicker. So I am laying my squares out. I've got 7 in total now, so that's exciting. If I want to do true pattern, I need 12 squares, so I'm pretty close. That's exciting. I don't know, I might make it a little bit bigger. I haven't decided yet. I'm just having a lot of fun working with the minis and creating these blocks. So yeah, that's my Stitch in Time square by Kay of the Bakery Bears. So I will have that posted below. Her, she's Kay Jones on Ravelry, I believe. So yeah, it's a beautiful little project. If you like working with mini skeins, then you might really like this project. I'm gonna put it over there before I get coffee on it. All right, so the next thing that I have finished, and I don't even believe I had it started on the last podcast, but I had gone to Michael's and I found a new to me yarn, which was the Loops and Threads Natural Marl. And it's one of those yarns that are like they're blown in a tube, like they're really floofy. It's really, really beautiful, and it's 100% acrylic yarn, which I am a yarn snob, but I thought that it felt pretty decent to me, and I really love some of the colorways they had. So I picked up was it 2 or 3? No, I picked up 2 balls in the Winter Blush colorway, and I was like, okay, I want to make like a shawl or a scarf with it. So I decided to do the Saunder Shawl by Helen Stewart, who is Curious Handmade, and that's what I did. So it's really unique. It is very much like a scarf because it's like super long, but you have like this shawl like feeling to it as well. I will admit that it is a little awkward to style, and now I'm eating it. It is a little awkward to style. When I go to put it on, I finagle with it quite a bit because it's a little awkward, but you could just wear it like a regular type scarf, you know. You can wrap it around a few times. It's super, super cozy. Or you could, you know, try to design it like a shawl, which is my favorite way to wear it. So I just kind of line up the V like this, and then, you know, just wrap it around and put my shawl cuff on it so it doesn't fall off. But it is a very beautiful design. It's super easy to do. It's not hard at all. And as you can see, this yarn kind of does a little bit of a striping sequence. It goes from grays to, it almost looks white, but it's actually a very, like a blush pink. It's very beautiful, and I love it. So yeah, and of course it has the options for tassels, and I did these big honkin' tassels on it because I love tassels. So I did mess up. If you look at the pattern, I believe that one of the tassels is supposed to go on the skinnier end of the scarf, shawl, whatever you wish to call it. And I believe that this second tassel was actually supposed to go on this end. I put it on the wrong end, but oh well, it is what it is. Technically, I have enough yarn if I wanted to make a third tassel to put on the end of here, but that seems a little overkill. I don't know. I like it the way it is. I think it's very beautiful. This is actually my second Saunder shawl. I did my first one for a friend several years ago, and I loved it so much that I kind of didn't want to give it away, but I did because I love her. And yeah, so I decided that this yarn would be perfect for it. So the Saunder Shawl is actually a chunky weight pattern, chunky or bulky. I think it's chunky. So for my friend's shawl, I ended up using Lion Brand Heartland, which is actually a worsted yarn. And this Loops and Threads Natural Marl is actually technically a worsted weight yarn as well. So all I did is I followed, one of the things I like about Helen's patterns is that she actually gives you row for row. So it's kind of like a checklist. If you were to print the pattern off, you could actually like use a highlighter and go row for row throughout the whole pattern, or use a pen and just check off what you've done. Some people like that, some people don't. I don't mind it at all. I always use my phone or my tablet in Knit Companion, so I just bring the highlighter line down. But I just followed it throughout all the rows that she has listed. It is a 10-row repeat, so it's easy that you can make this as, you know, big as you wanted. So because I am using worsted, I had to put a couple extra repeats on it. But I measured it out to her schematic of how big the wingspan was, and that's what I went by. So yeah, it's wonderful. I ended up using 2 skeins of the natural marl, and I still have, like I said, a little bit left if I wanted to add another tassel, which I don't think I will. But I believe the natural marl goes for $10 Canadian per ball, and there's like maybe 280 yards per ball. So it's a pretty good price point, and for 20 bucks you got this gorgeous, gorgeous shawl scarf, whatever you wish to call it. So yeah, I've actually gotten a chance to wear this one quite a bit. I have a black leather coat, so it matches beautifully. I really wanted something gray in my wardrobe, for my knits, and it matches perfectly. So I'm very excited. I've been wearing this one quite a bit. So yeah, Saunder Shawl, Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. It's wonderful. Very easy if you are a beginner and you want to try your hand at a shawl. I would definitely recommend that. And it's super quick because I knit that up in I'm gonna say it took me a week roughly, and that was in between knitting socks. So yeah, it's pretty quick, and if you use chunky, it probably go a little bit quicker. So I highly recommend it. And I will have that posted below, of course. Okay, so the next thing I have to share with you is a brand new cast on since the last podcast. And you're gonna have to forgive me because I did not put my ends in on it yet. I'm not looking forward to it, and you'll see why in a moment. So throughout the summer, if you watch the podcast, you would have seen me spinning up a beautiful braid of yarn, well, 2 braids of yarn that I had from Angèle of the Northern Pearl. Hi, Angèle. And she had dyed up this beautiful merino with silver stellina braid, and it was in these tones of blue. So I had 2 of them, and I spun them both up on my electric eel nano, and then plied them on my Ashford traditional. Yeah, I haven't touched my wheel for a little bit, so I'm forgetting things. But I had about not quite 200 yards of what I would call a thick and thin yarn. So it was definitely a worsted to an Aran weight for sure. So I was spinning that for a particular project that I had found. It was the Mary Mere Cowl. And I'm gonna have to put the designer's name here because I did not look it up prior to this podcast. Actually, I have my tablet, so I'm going to be a good podcaster because it deserves the recognition. But I saw this cowl, and as soon as I saw it, I knew that I wanted it. It's this big chunky cowl, and I believe that the thing that drew it to me was that the designer used a hand spun yarn, and There's nothing more special than using your own hand spun in a project. So just give me a second here. I'm just going to load up my Ravelry. So the Mary Mere Cowl is by Melissa N. West. Melissa N. West. And here is her picture. It's just a very beautiful cowl. And the thing that I really loved about it is that it has short row, again, my lighting, it has short row shaping here in the front. That way there isn't a bunch of bulk here at the front, and I really like that. So I decided that I was going to cast it on with my hand spun. So she suggests using a bulky weight yarn held with a strand of mohair. So that's what I did. So I used my hand spun that I got, and I held it with a strand of Pro Lana Kid Silk. So here is mine. So when I spun up my hand spun, I just did a 2-ply, and I kind of believe it's called barber pulling. So you can see how it kind of gave it like a marled effect. So stunning, and it's so soft. And I'm not sure if you can tell. You can see how my second skein turned out a lot darker than the first, but I don't mind it at all. I think it's beautiful. So the mohair that I held with it, you just hold your bulky weight with one strand of mohair. So my mohair was like an ice blue, so it just worked out perfectly. So you can see there's some twisted ribbing in there. There's a little bit of a cable, and I did wash this, but I didn't block out my baubles. But there is baubles on the bottom of the cowl. Not sure if you can really see them. I didn't really want the baubles to be too pronounced, so I didn't block them out, but yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful cowl, and I love it. So it's still actually a little bit damp. It's taken a few days to actually dry. We've had, like I said, damp, rainy weather, so we haven't had enough sunshine and warmth for me to set it out on the balcony to dry. But yeah, it is wonderful. So I haven't been able to wear this out yet. It would have been perfect yesterday because I was freezing, but it was still damp. But oh, you guys, it is wonderful. I love it. It's perfect. It'd be perfect under a jacket. Just snuggle up. If I had enough yarn, and I was actually afraid that I wouldn't have enough yarn, and I did, but I would make this slightly longer, like a little bit higher, just to have it more cozy, like more fabric around my neck. But it's perfect. I love it. It's gonna be awesome. So as you can see, it lays flat along your shoulders and your chest, and that is because there is short row shaping. So it's a little bit higher up on the neck, and it sits a lot lower on your chest area here. And I really like that. It was a lot of fun to do. So I think it's a wonderful pattern. The short rows are genius. It's a beautiful cowl. So that is the Mary Mere Cowl by Melissa N. West on Ravelry. and I will have it linked below. It's wonderful. So you can see why I'm not excited to weave my ends in, because yeah, the yarn is pretty thick in some areas. So I do have a big tapestry needle. I'm just not looking forward to it. But oh well, it'll be worth it. I love it. So if you didn't want to use the mohair, I'm sure that you could just omit it and use probably just the bulky and get away with it, I'm sure. But I wanted to use the mohair because I love mohair. So there's that one. All right. So the next two finished objects I have for you are socks. So I had a hoe last time. These are my Knit Picks Felici in the Psychedelic Sunset colorway. I really love this colorway. And now I have its mate. So I have a finished pair. These are already spoken for. So I just did 64 stitches, 2mm Chagu magic loop, 2x2 rib for the leg, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and then I continued the rib pattern down the foot, did my toe, and yeah, they are beautiful. I love them. So I finished those. And I finished these last night, but I Kitchener stitched the toe this morning. But I made a pair of socks for my neighbor. He found out that I was a knitter and I knit socks and requested a pair. So I couldn't say no to him. He's a really sweet old guy, and yeah, I just couldn't say no. Usually I'm not that nice of a person, especially when it comes to socks, but I really wanted to do this for him. So I used Patton's Croy stripes. I got this in a local D-stash and I was super excited about it. It's the Burnished Sierra stripes. So very fall-like. For his socks, I casted on 60 stitches on a 2mm Chagu magic loop. Did the same thing. I really am loving doing 2x2 ribbing for the socks because it really helps to keep them up. And I did my slip stitch, heel flap and gusset because it fits better. Continued the rib for the foot. And yeah. And yes, there is a second one, and I'm super excited. I worked really hard to get them to line up. I even pulled it out once because they weren't lined up correctly. So the only place that didn't line up was on the toe. My Kitchener stitch on this toe has some black on it, as you can tell. This one does not. I don't care about that. The rest of the sock lines up, so it's perfect. I love them. Patton's Croy is a really good workhorse yarn. It is a 75-25, I believe, 75 wool and a 25% nylon. And they're really, really nice. I love it. And you can get that at your local Michael's store, at least here in Canada anyway. So that's my second pair of socks. So yeah, my sock kick is still going on. I had another request from another neighbor. She wants me to make a pair of slippers. So I'm not really a slipper knitting person, but I did find a pattern online and I already knit one. I'm not going to share it with you. Yeah, I might have that by next podcast, but she wants blue, and I don't have a blue. It is it's a chunky weight pattern, so I'm gonna have to go get a skein of that soon, but I'm just using some chunky Estelle that I have in my stash right now just to kind of get a feel for the pattern. I can't remember I can't remember what the pattern's called at the moment, but she has a slipper version, and then she has, it's still a slipper, but it's got a higher cuff on it. There's 2 different patterns, and she uses short row shaping, so it actually fits your foot really nice and stays up. And it comes in a couple different sizes as well. So I did the small because she's got pretty small feet. So I'm gonna take it up to her and let her try them on and see how it works. But I'm not gonna bother showing you that today because it's just one and it's kind of boring. But yeah, so I have some slippers on the go soon. So yeah, that's it for finished objects that I can remember anyway. So that's pretty decent for 2 weeks. I'm actually really excited because, like I said, for a while there wasn't much going on. So it's really nice to be back into it. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to share with you, I actually managed to put a little bit of work on my Oxbow cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and it is being housed in one of my favorite bags. This is my Cozy Up bag by Jody. I love it, and it holds a lot. That's what I love about these bags. And now her project bags, she has like a notions pocket inside with a zipper. There's a zipper and then there's an additional pocket attached to it. It's genius and so beautiful. I really want one, but you know, budget. But I really love Jody's bags. So do go check out Cozy Up Knits. They have a link tree, so you can go check out their designs as well as their mom's bags. So go send Jody some love because her bags are amazing. Okay, so the last time I shared this on the podcast, I had my sleeves done. So I'm just gonna set that there because this is a bottom-up cardigan. So there's the second one. And I had a little bit of the body started. And I kind of went to town on it because with the weather changing, getting a little bit cooler, I really want to wear this thing. So this is what I accomplished. So my stitch marker, let me see, okay. My progress keeper, I was here last time, so I got a little bit done on it. And I am now at the point where you shape for the neck. So I'm starting the neck shaping right now. So you do a little bit of neck shaping, and then I'm pretty sure I'll be joining the sleeves in very shortly. And then finish the yoke and put the button band or shawl collar on it, and it will be finished. And you guys, I cannot wait. It is amazing. So it has this beautiful textured stitch, and I'm not really one to do texture stitch in a garment for myself, but this is an exception because, for one, it's one of my favorite textured stitches, but two, it is knit with a chunky weight yarn on big needles. So I'm using a US 11 or 8mm needle, so it knits up pretty quickly. So yeah, that's super exciting. I had 1.5 balls. I'm using the Cascade Eco, which comes in these great big balls. There's like 400 and some yards per ball. So I realized that I had to order in another ball because this is all I have left. This is my second skein, and there might be enough, but I don't think there's going to be enough. I might be surprised, but just to be on the safe side, I I have one ordered in from my local yarn store. So just to be on the safe side, because I believe this cardigan has a shawl collar on it. So that's going to take up a little bit of yardage. So I just wanted to make sure. And if I have leftovers, that's fine. I can knit a hat with it. So I believe the colorway is called Gunmetal, which is just a beautiful charcoal gray. It's gonna be so nice, you guys. I love it. So it is a pretty quick knit, and it's taken me a while. I casted this on in the spring, and I got the sleeves done on it. I casted on the ribbing, and then I set it down because new shiny things caught my eye. But yeah, now I'm down to business because I want this thing. The stitch marker, or I should say the progress keeper, is a beautiful one that I got from Tracy over at Grizzly Knits. Absolutely stunning. I love her stuff. Hi, Tracy. So go check her Etsy store out. So yeah, that's my Oxbow cardigan by Under Maori. Absolutely wonderful pattern. It is one of her older patterns, but it's a good one. And speaking of new shiny things, Andrea recently came out with a new cardigan. I think it's called the Big Cozy Cardigan. And oh my gosh, you guys, it is wonderful. It is a sport weight, and it's got this big shawl collar on it, and it's really cool when you look at it. It's not a poncho, but it kind of has, I'm terrible at explaining these things. It kind of has this wear to it. So, you know, it's got the bigger sleeves on it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's got that more boxy appear to it. But when you see her project pictures, it looks like she's wearing the cardigan because it's gray, and it looks like a big brown scarf that she's wearing, and it's not. It's actually part of the cardigan. That's your collar. It is so stunning and so beautiful. And yeah, I think she said, Andrea does like kind of like a podcast where she does a Q&A and stuff like that. And she said that you could actually use like it's like a heavy fingering to a sport weight. So I was wondering if you could get away with sport weight, not sport weight, fingering, because the shawl collar she used Surrey alpaca for her collar, and I actually have a Surrey alpaca skein. It's like a smoked lavender color. I only got one skein of it. She said it used 2, but you could make that shawl collar smaller if you wanted to. So I have no idea what to do with the Surrey alpaca because I just wanted to try it. So it's been sitting in my stash for over a year now. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe I will eventually do this cardigan and use that. And if I have to buy another skein, I'll see if the yarn dyer has still does it. But I might match it with a fingering sweaters quantity I have from Knit Picks. So I don't know yet. I'm trying not to think about it too much because I don't need to cast another sweater on, but you need to go check out that pattern if you haven't seen it because it looks amazing and it's straight up my alley. So don't be surprised if you see it on my needles, but hopefully not too soon because I want to get other things done. So yeah, so there's that one. And where did I put it? Speaking of not casting on new sweaters, this is kind of the reason why I have that one going, and I have my t-shirt still going. I can't remember what it's called now because I started it in the spring, but it's from Boylan Knitworks. It's a beautiful t-shirt. It's got lace on the bottom. It's very beautiful. It's not the Tenya, but it is a boil and knitwork pattern. Anyways, I still have that going. I knit the body of it and I'm working the yoke, but it's fingering weight and I stalled on it. So I don't technically need to cast a sweater on, but I did. So I ended up casting on, and I'm gonna get my tablet again because I don't want to mess up the name, and I probably will. Okay, actually, just quickly, that's the t-shirt I was knitting, the Marmito. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm knitting mine out of, my lace section is black by Leo and Roxy, and then my main color is a beautiful maple brown color from Cozy Yarn Co. It's stunning and I need to get back to it, but yeah. All right, so this new cast on that I did, I've been wanting to do this one a while. I was inspired by Sharon of the Modern Skein. She had knit this sweater. It is the Marcelli by Petit knit. And it's just a super cozy pullover with some stripes. And I'm not really a stripe person, so if I look at this picture, I'm not really drawn to it, but I saw Sharon's version of it and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was so pretty. So I had to cast it on. So the yarn that I'm using for mine is Juniper Moon Panguono. It is an organic merino. And this is my main color, which I believe is called Anise. It's just like a teddy bear brown. And I'm using just their white color, which is called Pearl. So this is my main color, and then my stripes are going to be in the Pearl. So Sharon from the Modern Skein, that's how hers was. She had like a brown for her main color, and then her stripes were white. And it just was so beautiful that it called to me. So I've been wanting to cast this one on for a while, but I wanted to get some projects off the needles. So apparently I think I accomplished that, or at least in my mind I have accomplished it. So I decided to cast this on the other night and I'm loving it. So you start off, it is top down and it has a very unique construction, but sorry, I'm just trying to get it unrolled. So it does have short rows in the back, and I just started my first stripe. And then I believe you knit a portion of the back yoke for a while, and then you would pick up stitches for your fronts, and then you join it in the round. So it is a construction that I am familiar with. I have done that before. So it does have a little bit of, if you're new to knitting sweaters, it might be a little confusing at first, but it's not that bad. So this sweater is, almost lost my bag. It is a DK weight sweater knit on a I believe a 4.5 millimeter. And I went down to a 4. I believe that's how it goes. I went down a size, I believe, because if you look, you can kind of see through it a little bit, just a little bit. And on a 4.5, my gauge, you could see through it a little too much for my liking. So I went down a needle size. So there are multiple sizes for this sweater. I think it goes from an extra small all the way up to perhaps a 3 or 4X. Something that I have been doing a lot when I knit garments for myself, and I did gauge swatch. Amazing, right? I am 2 stitches off, so I'm 2 stitches smaller than what it called for. I always knit my sweaters too big for myself, and I'm trying to be better about that. This one fits perfectly, my simple hug, but whenever I do pullovers or even cardigans sometimes, I always go too big. It's just me thinking I'm bigger than I actually am. So for this sweater, I chose to do a 53-inch chest. So I'm thinking it's going to fit perfectly. The sweater is meant to be worn with 9 inches of positive ease. So you could make it more close fitting. You could make it with more positive ease. I technically like a little bit more positive ease, but I find with my knitted sweaters it's a little bit too much. So I'm going down a size. I would probably have done a 57-inch chest just to have that extra ease that I like, but I'm gonna try smaller this time. So hopefully it works out properly. It looks like it will be perfect, but if I get it in the round, I have the barber cords. I will put it on the barber cords and try it on, and if I find that it's a little too tight, then I will rip back, because I really want this sweater. But I'm gonna try sizing down to have just a slightly more, not fitted sweater, but just not so big. So that is my Marcelli by Petit knit, and yeah, it's going to be really nice. If you haven't had a chance to try Panguono, it's a very beautiful yarn. It's a DK weight and it's 100% wool, but it is super soft. So it's not a rambouillet, but if you know what rambouillet is, it's got that soft, really soft, squishy, almost spongy feeling to it. It's just super beautiful. That's what it almost feels like to me. And I knit a kid's sweater last year, I think. And once you wash it, it makes it even more beautiful. So I really like the yarn, and it's got a wonderful price point. You get like 300 and some yards of a DK weight yarn for, I believe, $17 Canadian. So that's a very good price point to me for a wool yarn that feels super soft. So I really love it. So if you can check out Juniper Moon Panguono, do check it out. It's a wonderful yarn. So yeah, I got that started. Okay, so I have one more work in progress that I would like to share with you today, and it is another new cast on. So I'm bringing out my tablet again because I want to share the picture with you. So a couple days ago, I believe, Patty of the Forest City Knit Girls, hi Patty, she did a new design, a shawl design, and she's got a couple of them out now, and they are amazing. I love them. She also has shorty socks. I also got that pattern as well. So the sporty shorty socks, I believe they're called. So I do want to check, sorry if you're hearing that. I do want to cast those on soon as well. But Patty has some very wonderful designs. So does June. Hi June. She's also part of the Forest City Knit Girls as well. So do go over. I will link them below so you can check them out. But they just have some very beautiful designs. And Patty recently came out with a new shawl. It's called the Sweet Serenity. And it is just so beautiful. I love it. So it is 2 skeins of a fingering weight yarn. And I just want to show you some other pictures of it here. It's got some pretty eyelets and this beautiful section there with some more eyelets. It's just so beautiful. So I don't need to be casting on another shawl, but I couldn't resist. It is just so beautiful. And it did not help that I had 2 skeins that I was going to use. I think I was going to use them for socks. I can't remember now, but I already had them caked up before the move. So they were like sitting at the front of my stash. So when I saw Patty's shawl, these 2 cakes were just calling to be this shawl. So I had to cast it on. It wasn't my fault. It was the yarn's fault. So I got them here in this bag. And I feel really bad. And I'm sorry, Angel, because I lost the tag to the one and I don't know what it's called. But there's this color here. This is the Northern Pearl. This is her merino sock base. I believe this colorway is called Punch. And then this yeah, okay. It is, okay. I have that tag. So the Northern Pearl. And it is in the Punch colorway. So I got that tag, but I lost the tag to this beautiful skein, and I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. But how pretty is that? It is, it's got pinks and it's got purples and gold. Straight up my alley. Yes, my ball winder decided to, yeah, mess up, so it doesn't look that pretty in a cake, but the colorway is gorgeous. So there is my 2 colorways, so I'm pretty close to what Patty did. And I casted this on as we were on the road the other day to our dinner, family dinner. So I haven't gotten that much done on it. But I have gotten through the first section. And there it is. So right now we're just into some pretty garter and stripes. It's lovely. And I am really loving how these yarns are playing together. It's just so beautiful. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty fun shawl. I must admit I'm a little nervous wearing a bright color like this. I'm more into the darker colors, but it's going to be a fun one and I'm really excited for it. So yeah, that is the Sweet Serenity by Patty of the Forest City Knit Girls. And I can't wait. I will be knitting on this one today because I'm having a lot of fun with it. So there's that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the knitting. I said last time that I was working on a little bit of crochet. I haven't touched it this past 2 weeks at all. I've been having, because of the damp weather, I've been having a lot of issues with my hands. Not sure if it's arthritis or what it is, but my hands have been really sore. My whole body's been pretty sore, but my hands just to knit have been sore, but to crochet would not be good because when I crochet it really makes my hands hurt. So I haven't touched it at all, but I really want to because it's a Christmas gift for somebody. So it's a little boy and he'd be quite disappointed if he didn't get it. So I need to do that. But yeah, I still haven't touched my spinning and I really want to. My wheel is like right there and it's staring at me, wanting me to work on it, but I've just been in the mood with my knitting and I'm just rolling with it. I'm just enjoying. I've been wanting to sew, but just to have the drive to pull my sewing machine out, I haven't had it either. It's just, yeah, things are good. It's just a certain, I've just been wanting my knitting. Let's just keep it that way. So that's what I've been doing. Do what makes you happy. So yeah. But yeah, that's it for the knitting. Yeah, that's all there is really. So new cast-ons. I'm hoping not to cast anything new on, because I got quite a bit. I still have a big bin full of stuff that that are old whips, so I don't need to be working on anything else. But like I said, I will be working on some slippers, so maybe you will see that next time. There probably will be one new cast on though. I want to, since I got the socks done, instead of putting a new pair of socks in my bag, I want to make a headband. I found yesterday going out in the cold that it's starting to affect my ears. So I always need a hat, but it's still kind of too warm for a toque. So I thought I would try a headband. Now, I'm not a headband person. I don't wear them a lot, but I'm going to try it. So I had gotten a headband pattern from Megan Nodecker of Pip and Pin. So if you signed up for her newsletter, you got her, I think it's called the Aurora headband. So it's a fingering weight held with mohair. Maybe you don't have to hold it with mohair, but it's a beautiful fingering weight headband, and I think it has a twist in it as well. Regardless, if you go check out her designs, you'll see it. But I believe if you sign up for her newsletter, you might get the pattern for signing up. But I have it in my library, and I think I would like to, I'd like to cast one of those on because I need something for my ears. So it'll be a fun little project. But besides that, I don't have any plans for any new cast-ons. I'm just trying to be very good. I have been slightly tempted by the new Stephen West mystery knit along. I have looked at the spoilers for Clue 1 and 2, and it does look pretty interesting, but I need to see more of it to make my final decision. But other than that, I don't have no plans. So yeah, but yeah, that's what I've been up to. As I said, you can find show notes in the description box below, and I hope you guys have had a great week, and well, great start to your week. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you again in 2 weeks, hopefully. So until then, guys, I will see you. Happy knitting. Bye.